Big news just dropped. The Las Vegas Raiders have officially cut cornerback Jack Jones, and this is straight from Ian Rapoport, so it's legit. Earlier today, Vincent Bonsignor reported that the Raiders were looking to trade Jack before letting him go. That report hit maybe 3.5 hours ago, and now, boom, they've already released him. So how this move will affect the Raiders and their draft strategy? Let me break it down for you. What's up, buddies? Welcome back. If you are new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We cover all AFC West news here on this channel. Here's the thing, though. Don't think the Raiders only shopped him for a few hours. That's not what happened. I bet Jones was one of those guys they've been quietly looking to move for a while, and he probably wanted out too. Think about it. There was zero guaranteed money left on his deal, so it makes total sense for the Raiders to either trade him or just cut him loose. From Jones's side, he came to Vegas to play under Antonio Pierce, right? That was the plan. But with that regime gone, it's no surprise his camp might have been pushing for a fresh start somewhere else. And the Raiders? They're clearly ready to turn the page too. Now, let's dig into some of the details here because there's a few things worth talking about with Jones' contract and what might have been going on behind the scenes. I'm not saying there were trade talks for sure, but there could have been teams calling. Or maybe not. We don't have the full picture yet. What's been wild to me is seeing some of the reactions on social media since this news hit. There's a bit of shock out there, like folks are stunned the Raiders would move on from Jones. Honestly, I'm not that surprised. I made a video a while back, a couple weeks, maybe months ago, talking about trade and cut candidates, and Jones was right there on the list. Here's why this isn't a total shocker. Jones has talent, no question. The guy's a playmaker. He can flip a game with one snap. Just go back to that Christmas game against the Chiefs. Ask Patrick Mahomes what Jones can do when he's locked in. But here's the flip side. His game's got some real holes too. The dude's inconsistent as heck. When it comes to stopping the run, there's just no effort there. If a team's trying to mix things up, maybe flip between man and zone coverage, Jones isn't the guy who's going to shine in that setup. You're not getting steady results with him. Still, I'm wishing Jack the best. That Christmas play he made? Unreal. Probably one of the wildest moments I've seen. But let's be real. This move makes sense for the Raiders. They're saving $3.4 million and opening the door for some younger corners to step up and show what they've got. Jones isn't old, he's 28. But they've already grabbed Eric Stokes, they've got Dekamarion Richardson, and I'm curious to see what Jacorian Bennett can do down the stretch. This team's high on guys like Q Blue Kelly too, and there's other names. Darnay Holmes, maybe someone else Patrick Graham's got his eye on. Point is, they're not done yet. They'll still need to hit the draft and snag another corner. Like I said a few hours ago in that last video, I'd bet they're eyeing one in the first, second, or third round. Look, Pete Carroll and this crew have a knack for finding decent DBs, corners, safeties, you name it. Without that track record, I'd probably go lower. There's some athletic guys in that room, no question, but there's still a ton we don't know about how they'll pan out. If I'm the Las Vegas Raiders, there's definitely a handful of names that I'm looking at. A lot of these guys I've got my eye on are sitting in round 1, round 2 of the draft. So what I want to break down today is some of the top 30 visits the Raiders have had with cornerbacks, plus a few of those formal combine interviews they've done. Then at the end, I've got a big one. There's a player we're meeting with Tuesday who I'd bet my house goes top 10. But first, let me clear this up one more time. The Raiders did try to trade Jack Jones. They put him out there, but nobody bid. And honestly, I'm not shocked. That $3.4 million price tag he's carrying, some might say, oh, that's a steal for what Jones did last year. But let's keep it real. He was probably the weakest link out of the top 3 or 4 corners the Raiders were rolling out there. And when you toss in his off-field baggage, every team he's been on, unless it's tied to Antonio Pierce, has had issues with him. No one's paying $3.4 million, $4 million for that kind of risk. So I'm not surprised they couldn't move him. And don't come at me with any John Spytek and Pete Carroll messed this up stuff. This was a solid move. They saved some cash, and now the hope is they flip that money into something better. Could it be a corner? Maybe. But if it's up to me, I'd say they might use it to grab a receiver to pair with Geno Smith, especially after locking him up with that new deal. All right, let's shift gears and talk corners the Raiders have checked out. From what I know right now, they've had top 30 visits with 3 guys. One that's got my attention? UTSA's Zach Frazier. Yeah, it's a fun one. I'll admit, I haven't dug super deep into Frazier yet. Go look him up. What's cool about him is that UTSA connection. I'm a big Tariq Woolen fan. That dude was a freak athlete at corner. Pete Carroll saw something in him, and he turned into a solid piece in Seattle. Tariq Woolen turned into a solid piece in Seattle. He's still holding it down, even if he dipped a bit last year. I've heard his name floating around in trade talks too, probably because the staff that drafted him isn't there anymore. Now, the other 2 top 30 visits the Raiders had, first up, Will Johnson. There's a ton of buzz about the Raiders maybe grabbing him in the first round. Not sure if he's gone by pick 6, but if they trade back a bit, keep an eye on that. The Saints could be a sneaky trade partner, especially if they're chasing Sheeter Sanders. That's one to watch. Then you've got Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. He's dealt with some injuries, but I had him pegged as a second-round guy for the Raiders, maybe at 37. Big gap here. Will Johnson's a round 1 lock. Morrison's more round 2. Now, flipping to their formal combine interviews, they talked to Jahdae Barron from Texas. That dude's a top 15 pick, no question. Super versatile, Swiss Army knife type. Benjamin Morrison's name pops up again, then Will Johnson again, and Shavon Revel Jr. Revel's got that Richard Sherman vibe. Doesn't have the full physicality yet, but the athletic tools are there. He's 6'3", 195, maybe 200 pounds, out of ECU. Had a nasty injury early this season, but I'd still say he's a top 50 guy. Some folks thought round one, but I'm sticking with top 50. Then there's Trey Amos. I brought him up earlier today. Ole Miss corner. His name's been all over the place. Raiders might have to snag him in round 2 around that 37th spot. Last one from the combine interviews. Kobe Bryant, corner from Kansas. Rough showing at the NFL Combine, no doubt, but word is he crushed the interview part. Probably a round 3 target. Don't think he slips to 4, but crazier things have happened in drafts. I'd say Kobe Bryant's more of a round 3, maybe round 4 guy, depending on how it shakes out. All right, before I bounce, there's one more thing I saw today that I was kicking myself for not hitting earlier. The Raiders are set to meet with Mason Graham on Tuesday, defensive tackle out of Michigan. This dude could easily go to the top 5 overall. If the Raiders are serious about the best player available, I know there's some hate out there for Ashton Genie, but Mason Graham, he's right up there with the best prospects, period. If they land him, I'm telling you right now, that defensive line might be the nastiest in the NFL. I'm not scared to say it. For a team that loves building in the trenches, that's a meeting to keep tabs on. Okay, now I want to share an interesting report about the Raiders' defense. You know, the Raiders' season in 2024 was one to forget. The Silver and Black did not have the year they wanted to in any way. They were expected to get much more than the 4 wins they got. They did not live up to the expectations they had, and for the whole season, they could not find consistency. The Raiders struggled on most units last season, but if there was a bright spot for the Raiders from last season, it was the defense. The defense was the best unit for the Raiders for most of the season. The defense kept the team in the games they had the chance to win last season. The defense did their best to give the offense many opportunities to stay in the game and win it at times, but far too often the defense was put in bad situations. The Raiders' defense also did a great job of staying disciplined last season in the penalty department. The Raiders were one of the least penalized teams in the National Football League in 2024. The Silver and Black only had a flag thrown at them 31 times on the defensive side of the ball. And for a team that is on the wrong side of history when it comes to having the most flags, they did a good job of keeping them to a minimum last season. Now that the Raiders have a new regime with head coach Pete Carroll leading the way, he will like the Raiders to be the least penalized team in the league next season as well, on both sides of the ball. That was one reason Carroll brought back defensive coordinator Patrick Graham for next season. Carroll liked what he saw with Graham and his defenses over the years with the Raiders. The defense under Graham has improved every year since he arrived in Las Vegas in 2022. Graham is one of the best defensive coordinators in the game, and next year he will look to take his defense to the top. Graham has shown that he can take any player he is given and have him playing at a high level. Graham never makes excuses and also has his defensive players ready to play when they take the field. So, what do you think? Share your thoughts in the comment section.